Welcome to CareyBrosPros, the podcast for construction pros by construction pros, so you'll get the job done right the first time. Now, here are James and Morris Carey.
So glad that you've tuned into this episode of CareyBrosPros, and yes, we are contractors and brothers. Hi, I'm James.
And I'm Morris, and in this episode, we get the chance to speak with Jamie Gold, a wellness design consultant, certified kitchen designer, and author of the book, New Kitchen Ideas That Work. Her company is Jamie Gold Kitchen, Bath, and Wellness Design, and is based in San Diego, California.
Welcome to CareyBrosPros, Jamie. Tackling a kitchen remodel can be one of the more daunting tasks that a homeowner undertakes, Jamie. They rely on the experience and advice of their professional designers and contractors. So, share with us some suggestions that you have about saving time on a kitchen remodel or even a new home build.
I think the most important thing is to know your clients. And as everyone in the business knows, they are not all the same. They may be looking at the same social media channels. They may be looking at the same magazines, but they come to it with different wants and needs and priorities. So I think the most important thing, and it is a huge time saver and a money saver, is to find out what is most important for them to include, educate them on what's available. That's our expertise, not necessarily theirs. If you are comfortable with it, use technology to show as much as possible along the way what the finished space will look like. But these are all helpful in managing expectations, and we know how beneficial that can be, right?
Oh, boy.
Yeah, I'm with you completely, Jamie, because we're finding that the more we can get the customer to understand what it is we're suggesting, the easier it is for them to say yes. And we are definitely using that technology to great advantage. So, yes, we agree with you. But what should we consider when it comes to the long-term value of a kitchen? Let's get right into the meat of it.
Well, it's going to come down to how long that client anticipates staying in that home. If you're doing a project for an older client who wants to stay in that home indefinitely, then long-term value and accessibility for future needs becomes even more crucial. If you're doing a starter home for a millennial and they might only anticipate staying there 2 to 5 years, then immediate value and planning for resale becomes a big consideration. They may not be looking at, where they'll be 15 years in that place and using that kitchen. So again, it comes down to knowing your clients and how long they tend to be there. And I also think it's really beneficial to simplify as much as possible. Pare down from the excess, because what's hot now in the way of frills may not be hot down the line when they want to retire or sell. So
in other words,
look at core values.
Yes. In other words, stay with solid products that have a lifestyle of centuries.
I like to emphasize low maintenance. I like to emphasize safety. I like to emphasize durability.
What kind of suit did Dad like to buy, James? Dad used to
Dickie Freeman.
No, but he used to like to buy a suit that was not trendy. He bought suits
that were timeless.
Yeah, he bought suits that were timeless. And it makes sense for us to look at creating space for our clients that's timeless.
So, Jamie, to dovetail off of your most recent comments, ease of use and ease of maintenance, we can tell you that they're two of the most important points for folks that we design kitchens for. What might be some equipment or features that you can suggest that would speak to ease of use and ease of maintenance when it comes to kitchen design?
One that they may not immediately think of is induction cooktops and induction ranges. A lot of people grew up with gas, and that's their association, especially when it comes to performance cooking. And they may not be aware of the benefits of induction, and that's where we as professionals can share that with them about, from a safety standpoint, whether you're working with seniors or families with young children. Induction is going to be a potential for reducing the risk of burns, for example. It's also going to be easier to clean after they make dinner. And so when you talk about safety and you talk about low maintenance, it fits both of those bills.
So explain how induction works.
Well, it is based on magnetic power, so it's not using gas. It's using magnets to essentially move the molecules around within. It's only heating the pot. It's not heating the overall room. It's not heating the overall surface of the cooktop, the cooking surface. So, without getting overly technical, you have something that's using less energy. We're not in the summer months now, of course, but during the summer months, it's not heating up the kitchen. You're not creating this hot area that somebody could easily burn themselves on. So, there's advantages of how it cooks and how easy it is to clean up after it.
Now, induction has been around for a long, long time, but we see it so rarely. Is there renewed interest in our folks like you promoting induction as something that folks should consider as part of a kitchen remodel? Because when you go into an appliance store, you see loads and loads of traditional gas and electric ranges, but not a lot of induction out there. Is that changing?
I believe it's slowly changing, and it's partly because you have a younger generation coming up that's starting to buy homes. And what appeals to them about induction is the sustainability of it. You're not using fossil fuels, for example, to cook with. They like sleek European design, and induction does that. And when you educate them about the fact that it reduces the chance of burns and it's easier to clean up after, so that's more time for them to enjoy friends and running and hiking rather than cleaning their kitchen, that has appeal for a lot of busy, dual-earning households.
Now, I'm confused for a moment. Induction is magnetic, but it's fueled by electricity, yes?
Correct.
And for our purposes, electricity is a fossil fuel.
Electricity itself is not a fossil fuel, but what creates the electricity,
which is could
depending
be
upon
gas
the
or
region
coal.
you live in, it could be gas, it could be hydro, it could be coal. That's not
nuclear.
Something that
Okay.
It could be nuclear.
Good point. Good point to make. Or it could be solar.
Yeah.
Okay. Good.
It could be solar.
All right.
Just a clarification.
All right. Good verification.
Mm-hmm.
So what about smaller units, like, an in-law apartment or income spaces? What do you suggest for out-of-the-box approaches for kitchens in these spaces?
It's going to depend upon how it will be used. An in-law suite will probably be equipped differently than a rental for a starter family, for example.
Sure.
So an in-law suite to be used by an elderly relative, you want to be emphasizing the safety and accessibility. And again, induction's a good option for that. So are rollouts and pullouts and pull downs and swing outs that make it easier for them to get to the pots and pans that you might have available.
Oh, yeah.
You can also minimize, the equipment there and make it a space where they can warm up a cup of tea, for example. So an in-law suite, you're going to be furnishing differently than you would if you're creating a rental for, an individual. So in that case, space is still a consideration, and you're going to be looking at things that maximize that space. So it could be dual-purpose type appliances. It could be a smaller, refrigerator. Could be, again, induction, because then you can use the unused part of the cooking surface for food prep since it's smooth. Again, accessories that maximize the space. And you want it to be low maintenance and durable so you don't have to swap things out every time a new tenant moves in.
Got it. That makes lots of sense. So we talk a lot about aging in place here on CareyBrosPros, and we like to keep that present in our minds whenever we approach any construction project, even for, millennials. because millennials have parents who may end up living with them. And so that's an important. What are some of the features that we should consider when designing and remodeling a kitchen as regards to accessibility?
You want to have it so that people of any age or any ability can use it easily. Let me give you one simple example. Back in the first decade, obviously, you saw a lot of bar tops, and they would be raised to 42 inches, and people would use bar stools to sit at them.
Oh, yeah.
And you're not seeing as many of those now, and they are not very accessible. They're hard for seniors to get on and off. They're hard for anyone with balance issues to get on and off, and they're hard for children to get on and off. So this applies to people of all ages. I mean, aging in place is a helpful term, but what makes a kitchen functional for an older person can also make it functional for a family. So what makes a standard chair or a counter seat better than a bar stool applies to all ages.
Got it. Jamie, here on CareyBrosPros, we like to have our guests leave us with 3 points for success. Could you share yours?
Sure. Think outside the traditional conversations when you're talking to your clients about their vision, whether it's aging in place, whether it's new family. Talk to them about safety and health and how they want to live. And speak into their listening for health, wellness, and sustainability. I'll say, don't just be the guy or gal that builds their new kitchen. Be the ally who helps them create a space where they'll live their best life. And this can be highly effective in the bidding process because you're positioning yourself differently. So that's one tip that I would share. Another is that technology is playing a bigger role. And you especially see that with millennials who are increasingly entering the home buying and home remodeling sphere. So you don't have to become an expert in it. I'm not. I don't know whether you folks are, but it's super helpful to partner someone who is, like a home technology integrator, and bring them in at the start of the project. Because I will tell you that planning for technology, what you don't know can bite you hard in the bottom line. It takes space, it takes money, it takes planning. So that would be another one. And the third is something that we don't always think about, but people often wish at the end of a project that they had spent more money than they initially planned. So don't be afraid to show them quality products that last longer and serve them better just because they cost more. Talk with them about the upfront investment, which is a word I like much better than budget, saving them more time and money in the long run. And if you can give them an example or a story or a metaphor that will put it into terms that they're familiar with, like you talked about how many gas ranges are out there when you go into the stores, and a lot of them are kind of what I think of as faux pro. And if you talk to them about that being a underpowered muscle car knockoff, for example, and the sleek induction range might cost more, but it's going to use less energy. It's safer for the family. It's going to save them that gas money, and it's going to give them more mileage in their kitchen.
I do have to share with you how the induction appeals to me. When I was a little boy, we had a freestanding range in our kitchen, and it had the electric elements on the top. And I put my entire hand on one of those very hot elements, and I got quite the burn. And I will never forget that. I must have been 4 or 5 years old. So the recommendation toward induction really resonates with this contractor.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Think of it in family-friendly terms and senior-friendly terms. And even for the folks who like to entertain a lot. You know how parties used to always end up in the kitchen?
Yes.
Now they start and stay there, too. So if you have all your friends gathered around to watch your fabulous cooking, you don't want someone's sweater catching on or sleeve catching on a burner.
Good thoughts. She is Jamie Gold of Jamie Gold Kitchen, Bath, and Wellness Design. Thank you, Jamie, for joining us.
Thank you for the invite.
And you can look for her book. It is New Kitchen Ideas That Work. And check out her website at jgkitchen.com. kitchens.com.
And don't worry if you don't write all this down. You'll find our guest information as well as additional podcasts, videos,